Hey YouTube, wee demo review of this Fender G-DEC Junior. I'm holding it just now because rather than trying to do the camera within camera thing. So this I got this in actually with a guy who said, "Do you want this? I'm going to put it in the bin because it doesn't work." So I thought, yes, I'll be able to use the speaker. It's a really cool box it's in anyway. I looked up internet, managed to find out one of the common problems with it powering up, and it was a wee orange thing. That's the technical term for it inside it, which I've on the PCB, which I replaced, and it works. Hey, so I think he wants it back now, unfortunately. This thing is a guitar digital entertainment center, and it's got some crazy stuff on it. It's a G-DEC Junior. So gain, volume, tone, that I can do. It's got an amp modeler, different types of amp. I'll cycle through some of them. We've got blackface, Fender's isn't it? British, so that'll be the Marshall one. Hot rods, metal, acoustic, jazz and tweed. And it's got effects, reverb, chorus, a few different notches of each one. And then it's got a thing, it's got like a MIDI thing and a loop on it, which I plugged it in yesterday, just messed about with it for 5 minutes. It seems to play backing tracks, and you can choose which key it's in. So that should be fun. So I'm just going to go and plug it in, well, instantly. It'll be a couple of minutes for me though. Right, so you can't see the amp because I'm standing in front of it. There it is there, my wee lady's been demoted for the afternoon. I'm using my Tokai Mag series, I think that's what it's called, which kind of sounds stratty. I was going to be using my my test guitar, which is a Fender, a Japanese Fender, but I noticed that I've talked about it before, it's got like that photo finish and it's cracked. I noticed I was looking at it last night, more of the stuff was actually peeling off, so I've super glued it back down again and kind of filled it in, so it's a bit sticky just now. So I'm using this, which sounds like a Fender anyway. Yep, so just now I'm using a tweed model. I don't know how many watts this amp is, but for in here, I mean, normally I'm playing through the 15 watt, but I'm normally using the external speaker thing. I didn't actually look in the back to see if it played through an external cabinet. Anyway, that's what it is. Fender G-DEC. And I bypassed all the effects. As you can see, just going straight in, not using anything. Try to stand so you can see the amp. There you go. I think was there not a gain knob on it? There's a gain, so if I turn the gain right up. Maybe using a tweed amp isn't the way to go. Oh, I think that was me on jazz mode actually. So that's me on, there appears to be 2 notches for tweed. Volume down a bit. So, as the way I feel an amp should be, I just basically plugged it in, turned it on, it sounds good. So that's the best possible start. You don't need to, well, for what I want it to sound like, I'm not talking about going in there and having to, oh, just adjust this to make it sound good. It just sounds good straight up, straight out. Get a Fendery amp sound. Try the next. I'm not going to cycle through all of these. So a more distorted one. Turn it down a little bit. That'll be like a tweedy, a more. Is it still on tweed? Sorry, I keep having to look at it. I think that's either on tweed or blackface. Can't quite see because I'm not looking directly down at it. Now that's tweed. tweed type 2, so that'll be tweed with a bit more drive on it. Bridge pickup. Don't like that one quite as much, but that's just now we're on to blackface. I'm sure you'll find your favourite one. I'm just rotating around now. So that's again at half and the volume at half. I'm sure that, I don't know this, I've not looked up the manual, but I'm sure the manual will be online, and I'm sure it will say on it, I said there was like 2 tweed notches and like a few blackface ones. I'm sure it'll be like a 65 blackface non-tremolo and a 69 blackface 2x12 or something like that. They'll be very specific with what they are. To me it sounds like a Fender amp. To be honest, I'd say pretty much all the sounds I've used so far, any one of them would do me, really. Maybe not the jazz one, just because it's called jazz, not because of what it sounded like. Well, no, maybe it wouldn't actually, unless there's, I don't know, because I live on the loop pedal. Having it not plugged in, I'm feeling a bit naked right now. So having like the amp sounds, I really need to use a distortion pedal so I can have clean sounds going into the looper. Then again, I could just use one of these, this sort of cleaning in a wee boost pedal. Right, so I'm only cycled through a couple of the sounds there. I'll try one of the metal ones later, but I'm more interested in the. I put some reverb on. I suppose I'll put reverb on so it's got it. Yeah, back on the bypass. So as I said, it's got MIDI in on it, so I'm not really sure exactly what it does. I wonder if via MIDI pedal you can actually control the parameters of the effects, perhaps. I'm not sure. Just seeing out the corner of my eye, I do have a MIDI guitar there. I wonder what happens when you plug that into it. I'm sure it won't break it. No idea, I don't think it'll do anything. But see, but this is, so if I go to the loop thing, we've got what, train, swing, S metal, shuffle, reggae, hip hop, ballads, Chicago, Rock 101. That sounds like the one I want. So if I just start it off. We're off. This is the one I had it on yesterday. It's just staying on the same note. Some of the other channels do something else. Nope. With a tempo and a volume for the the loop. Yeah, see. Choose one of the treaty ones. So that's Chicago, so it's like a bluesy. And I think we're changing the key as well. Never played any music that's anything like that. I don't even know what it's called. Ballads? Yeah. Grind? That's like Martian. It seems to be sitting on the one note. That needs to have more notes in it. Again, you can probably look this up and it should have thing, does it? What's this one? No idea what play over. No idea what. Ah, no idea what that. Hip hop, yeah, totally did into that. No. I know it's an A. Who wants to play hip hop on a guitar? Or who knows how to? Or is there hip hop? Is there guitar in hip hop? Ready? I can't play any of these things. The road jack sort of thing. Oh, midi in, something else. So I mean, it seems to be great fun. I'm too much of a technophobe for these things. I would totally use that if
the guy didn't want it back, I'd probably be keeping that just because it's quite handy to have in the background. The backing tracks are probably really good for learning. I'd imagine it must plug into a computer or a MIDI sequencer or something so you can actually change. There's not much point in having all that effort put into making those you know, the bluesy line things, and also the rock tracks. You know, nobody sits on one chord on rock, so it must be programmable somehow to change to play your song. But I mean, it's a great sounding backing track. But maybe people are not quite as centred as I am on only liking rock, nothing else. So I'm going to try and plug the MIDI guitar in just because I'm an idiot. I'm not expecting it to... What I think the only thing it might do is if I'm thinking that the MIDI in on the back of it might take like a sequencer. So if I play chords on the MIDI guitar, it might make the backing track play the chords along with the chords I'm playing. That'll do nothing. Let's see what happens. Right, we'll just pause it again. Right, so I've plugged it in. As you know, I'm an idiot anyway, so I've not actually even tried it. It might do. I think it will do absolutely nothing. So obviously, it still works as a guitar. So I just turning MIDI is not going to do anything, is it? No, didn't think it would. But I wonder if in the backing tracks, if I go to that the rock one, which was just one note. Oh no, there's a thing that says MIDI in. What happens if I do that? Yeah, so it's clearly not meant to do that. What it is doing is, for some bizarre reason, it appears to be playing a sort of piano-y sound. Octave work. There you go. Which way's off and which one's program change? Normal. So can you still bend notes? I've just worked out what the really strange shape is on my lawn. It's snowing. It's been snowing. Someone walked past with their dog, and their dog like sort of looked a bit like a fox, kind of ran up into my lawn and hunched down, like as dogs do. So that kind of explains what the crazy shape was on the lawn. So I suppose the volume controls it as well. Yeah, so I knew it was going to be stupid plugging into it. Yeah, anyway, I'll just turn that off so I don't break anything. It doesn't like it. When I hit start there, the wee green light that tells you what the tempo is was just flashing mental, as if to say, what have you just plugged into me? You plugged in a MIDI guitar, like, what were you expecting? And the answer is, I had no idea what I was expecting, but to get anything out of it is quite good. Have I turned it off? No. To get anything, so maybe in some respects, maybe to find a use for it, if you happen to have a Casio MIDI guitar that doesn't work with a Roland one, and you happen to have this amp, you can kind of play a piano song without having to take a synthesizer with you. I've no idea why it would choose that. I think it is for like a sequencer, which would run out like, or maybe a computer thing. I mean, maybe this thing maybe a few years old, maybe 10 years old or something like that before USB, so it's kind of got, yeah. Actually sounds an awful lot more like a piano than any of my synths do. I never kept the synths at the realistic sounds. I kept the sort of 80s ones, so piano done with FM synthesis or additive synthesis or phase distortion, or what's the other one, just analog synthesis. Kind of don't really sound that much like a piano, whereas this be some sort of sample based thing, just on a chip. So it actually sounds more like a piano than most of the pianos I've got. I'm going to get a sound module for this, like one of your wee desktop things, so I don't have to lug the synth about. Something I could just sit on top of that Marshall and then just have this a bit more real. I think if I got one, I don't know how I would get one of them. I did actually have one years ago, but I gave it to somebody, gave it to my pal just with one of these keytar things, because it was kind of like having the keytar had enough controls to cycle up and down on the sound module thing. It was like an old, I think the sort of thing that you used to plug PC sound cards into, so you'd have like a crazy pin output thing from your sound card, and you stick it into this and it would generate the music for your computer games. Go back a bit there. So I'm kind of getting a bit carried away with this, just because I pretty much imagine nobody has ever plugged a MIDI guitar into one of these amps before ever. And expected a result. So if you're interested in buying one of these, I'm sure you'll be able to look up the manual and find out what it actually does, rather than getting some idiot who doesn't really know anything about technology, who gets scared off with the fact it's got amp modelling on it. But it passed the test of, well, the one I always go for is like, you plug it in, you turn it on, does it sound good? Yes. It's variable tweakiness. I never touched the tone control, I didn't touch the gain. All the sounds were kind of alright. Were good anyway. A couple of them I wasn't really that keen on, but that's just the way what I want. So I'll give it a thumbs up. Looks like a fun thing. It looks like it's a fantastic looking wee thing. When the guy said he was going to chuck it out because it didn't work, I was like thinking, well, it's quite a nice wee cabinet, quite sturdy, and it actually doesn't look unsimilar quality to my wee Laney, like in build quality. I was assuming I was going to be able to, worst case scenario, I was going to be able to steal the pots out it to do something, and just for bits, and use it as a wee one. But I'd imagine it's an 8-inch speaker cabinet. But now it's working. So the chap's nephew is apparently want to learn to play the guitar. He's like, "Oh, you still got that wee amp?" And it's like, "Yeah, what, the amp you gave me 2 days ago?" "Yes, of course I still got it." But I'm quite pleased that I managed to fix it, because I don't really do anything with amps. It's not a tube amp. I very refuse to go into tube amps, because one time I nearly got flung out that window messing about with a Fender Champ. Even though I thought I'd discharged everything and I had it unplugged and everything like that, I still was poking around trying to do this mod kit my pal had given me, and I touched my arm on something, and it was like, and then the fear has hit me, which you don't get on something like this. When you unplug that, that's all right. You don't have to fear for your life touching things inside it. rock on. No idea when this video is going up. I've got a few videos I want to do today. So the next week might be full of videos that are kind of the time thing. I'm going to stop trying to explain the time thing because you don't really care. It doesn't really matter to you. But I left it in because I thought it was quite funny when I was trying to explain when I did the video for the Epiphone SL the other day, and it was like, I fixed it. Video would be fixing it, and then I did a demo of it, and then I went back and modded it, and I used the fixed one and the modded one, and then I did another demo, and it's like, and I ended up with like 3 different videos that were recorded in a different order in 5 different parts. Rock on, catch you later. Oh, and I've left. I'm going to start watching The Mandalorian again. I see there's an awful lot of hullabaloo going on about Gina Carano just now, and it's like, I think she's absolutely awesome. It's like great having like a female character in one of these things and not really noticing. It's not like Wonder Ray or one of these ones that's just pure, oh, strong woman. It's like she is, but she's not pure wedged in where it doesn't suit. The character fits. So there, a bit of Star Wars geekery. I'm not that much of a Star Wars geek, but I do like watching the programme. Rock on, catch you later. Bit of an update. I've just started. This is like an hour and a half later, 2 hours later. Thinking about the wee G-DEC amp, how it runs a piano sound. Well, I was just thinking, what? I've not got the guitar plugged in. It's just the MIDI part. Why would it have a piano sound? It doesn't make any sense. And I thought, I wonder if it's got a whole bank in it. Because in this guitar you can actually change patch. So piano sound is pretty much generally MIDI 1 in general MIDI bank. Right, so if on this guitar you can use the frets to change the sound. So it's got a full general MIDI bank in it. The way you change things is using different frets. You get different sounds. Which I couldn't really think of any reason for having that. No, I don't know how this works. I'm just. So when I was just thinking about that, I was thinking, what use would that be? I mean, obviously nobody else has got a MIDI guitar apart from me, so it would actually be of use to me because it means I could just basically take that amp and then play piano through it. But if you've got one of these, which okay, just now this is actually a Korg Volca, right? Next on that one, it's still got a battery in it. Where's the on switch? Yeah, right. So if instead of sticking that in, I stick this in. And then cycle up and down. Oh, that's the octave. And you get it's got a volume control for it. So again, you would think, what's the point in that? This is a Wii controller, which I got for £4 in Home Bargains. It was a couple of years ago. They don't have any left. They're actually a bit more expensive now if you try and find one. But basically, any keyboard that outs MIDI, even a not very good old keyboard, or one that doesn't have its own sounds, but mean, that's that. All I'm doing is all this just literally just the MIDI lead that's plugged into the back of it. So you've got a general MIDI bag, and if you've got an up and down. So if you have one of these amps or you're thinking of getting one, try and pick up a wee rubbishy keyboard thing that's got MIDI out on it. You get like a MIDI controllers are much cheaper than like a keyboard that actually has its own sounds, because this thing doesn't have its own sounds. It's meant for playing Rock Band on the Wii, I think. So if you're looking on Gumtree, you might find one of these for like a $5, and you can. It appears to have a full MIDI band. I wish I had that. Actually, I'm wondering if I turn on the backing track. No, I really don't understand what the MIDI thing is supposed to do. I think this is more of a byproduct rather than actually what it's meant to do. Try to find silly sounds. That could be handy stuff to have like that. And drums. Like I said, this is just a MIDI controller. No, but this doesn't create any sounds. This is all on board on the amp. And there we go. Old orchestral hit. It's in you with a view to a kill. Yeah. Yeah, so I want to try and get myself basically that element of the amp, the MIDI sound module thing. If anyone knows what that's called or how I would find one, because I mean I think with technology now it's probably just a chip, isn't it? But if I could get like a wee box that just did basically exactly what that amp's doing, and I could still without the amp part, that means I could just use the MIDI guitar much easier, and I would just remember. I think more advanced MIDI controllers probably tell you what patch it is you're on, whereas that's just got an up and a down do the patches, and in the guitar it's like you press a lever and then you hold in a fret, like between the 1st and the 12th fret gives you 12 patches, and then on the next string it's the 12 different patches, so there's ways of cycling through it. So that was just a wee addition there. I just thought that when I was sitting watching the video, making sure I wasn't swearing too much or anything like that. Rock on, I'll stitch this on at the end of the last one. I might cut a wee bit out, I was talking a wee bit rubbish at the end. Or I might just leave it all in. Hey, rock on. Not quite done yet, it was only 20 seconds that time. The reason it's got the MIDI bank is because it plays MIDI files. So if you've got like a MIDI file player back in the old days, or like you can plug it in and it's probably multi-timbral, so it probably can play MIDI files, and it uses all its internal general MIDI bank to do that for your backing tracks. So that makes sense why it does that. It's not really designed so you can stick a MIDI keyboard into it or a MIDI guitar into it. It's designed for MIDI file player, or play MIDI files, and it basically the MIDI file would just send out MIDI signals. It doesn't have any sounds in it. It's just got information. It would be what note it is, how hard it's hit, and what patch you're using. So in general MIDI, if it's grand piano, they're all, even though every synth has slightly, every keyboard has slightly different versions of the sounds. Number 1 is always piano, number 2 is always grand piano, number 5 is always trumpet, for example. Not necessarily in the synths I've got. I think general MIDI came out in the 90s maybe, and ever since then it's all been sort of generally standard, even though it's different qualities of sound. You know, the piano's always 1 and the trumpet's always 10 and the strings are always 20 or whatever. Yeah, so that probably doesn't make any sense. Rock on!